Happy Friday afternoon yoga. Woo woo. So we are continuing our revisit of the 7 main energy centers or chakras through the lens of psychology, specifically Abraham Maslow's theory of the hierarchy of human basic needs. So I wanted to start by reading from this book called Nonviolent Communication. It talks about empathy, because as you might remember from our last couple of weeks of exploring the throat chakra, the 5th energy center, it's much about the ability to communicate, to express ourselves, but also very importantly, the ability to deeply listen, to listen to another with the intention of truly understanding. So it says here, empathy is a respectful understanding of what others are experiencing. We often have a strong urge to give advice or reassure, to explain our own position or feeling. Empathy, however, calls upon to empty our mind and listen to others with our whole being. We need empathy to give empathy. When we sense ourselves being defensive or unable to empathize, we need to 1, stop, breathe, give ourselves empathy. 2, scream nonviolently or do a little soul movement. Or 3, take time out. So I wanted to share the reading about human needs, the Maslow portion, through the lens of that, empathy, because it talks about how we need these certain things to be fulfilled as we go through the various energy centers and the focus, this particular needs. But I also want to turn that lens around in the practice of empathy and practicing how others need that as well. So here it is. The article that I've been referencing is by Shai Tubali, and it's about opening all of your 7 main energy centers by living life in its totality. And he talks about the 5th energy center, Vishuddha, as the perspective that life is an interactive space of voicing and influencing. It's much about authentic self-expression. It is healthy to wish for our voice to be heard and acknowledged. Speaking our authentic feelings and ideas is a part of engaging in a human society. And when we suffocate our expression, we suppress a vital flow of participation. We need to give voice to all that we strongly believe in. This doesn't mean, of course, that everyone should agree and applaud, but that there will always be someone who will hear us. It is also essential not to be content with mere expression of feelings and ideas, but also to materialize visions and dreams and make them visible for all to see. It is unhealthy to stay stuck in one's inner worlds. And as a part of this coming out, we need to strive to give an undeniable form to inner visions, from arts to initiatives to building new structures within our lives and the lives of others. So I like how it incorporates the 3rd energy center. Remember, the solar plexus was about willpower and making, allowing your dreams and goals to take fruition. So the color associated with the throat energy center is blue, particularly turquoise or sky blue. And the seed sound or mantra is Ham, H-A-M. 2 particular pranayamas or breath techniques are helpful in opening the throat energy center, and that is lion's breath. In Sanskrit, it's called Simasana, and victorious breath that we've been practicing both a lot of, actually, Ujjayi pranayama. And poses that we will include in our physical practice that help to stimulate thyroid and parathyroid glands in the neck area and bring energy to the throat center are camel pose, bridge pose, shoulder stand, and plow. Thus, my request to have a firm beach towel or blanket you can fold about the thickness of 2 inches, as well as a strap if you have any tightness in the shoulders. All right. With that, a little context to balance and allow energy to flow through the throat energy center. Let's begin in a comfortable seat. You might even use that folded blanket to sit on towards the front edge and allow the pelvis to slightly tilt forward, allowing more uplift through the back ribs, through the chest, through the crown of the head. And then just start to shift around. Maybe your eyes are closed as you're checking in how your body is feeling. Feeling the way your body is breathing. A window to your inner state of emotions and mind. And then let's bring a little more motion into the neck if you haven't already. So as you sit tall, begin to circle the head very slowly, very gently. Keeping the two shoulders relaxed down. If it feels a little creaky in one area, perhaps you stay there and take a few breaths. If you haven't already, switch the rotation of your head. Taking deeper breaths, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Let the breath become a little louder as you lift up through the top of your head and allow your chin to slightly tilt towards your chest without closing the throat. Feel the shoulder blades soften down as you broaden the collarbones. And just rest your hands in your lap. Again, take a deep inhale, allowing the diaphragm to help expand the belly, expand the lungs, lift the chest. Through the mouth, create a sound as you breathe out. Again, inhale deeply. Big sigh through the mouth. And as you might have guessed it, we're going to start chanting hum, feeling the resonance at the throat and perhaps anywhere else you feel it in the body 3 times. And then we'll listen to the pause, the silence at the end. Take a deep inhale to prepare. Bring your palms to meet at your heart as you bow in, allowing a moment to perhaps set an intention or dedication of your practice. Let's begin Ujjayi Pranayama, or victorious breath, closing the lips. Sustain your breath equally through your nose while gently narrowing the back of your throat. The breath warms the body, creates a sound that's steady to help steady the attention of the mind. Keep tuning into that sound and softly open your eyes. Let's come down to all fours, hands and knees. As you set your knees just underneath your hips, set your wrists a couple inches in front of your shoulders. And let's turn out the fingertips to stretch the inner wrist, whatever degree, towards the outer edges of your mat or your knees. Beginning Vidalasana or cat-cow, first inhale and lengthen the spine forward, then coil your chest up, sliding the shoulder heads down. As you exhale, contract your belly, tucking the tailbone under your body and dropping your skull, rounding. Again, inhale, lengthen the spine forward. Right under the shoulder blades, contract to lift the chest up. Exhale, hollow the belly, tilting the tailbone downward as you drop the skull. Cat pose. Keep going about 3 or more slow cycles with the breath. This posture helping to increase mobility throughout the spine as we focus on opening the front and back of it. On your next exhale, relax to your neutral spine. Turn the index fingers forward and now set your wrists directly under your shoulders so that we're in modified plank pose. Parallel the index fingers, spread the thumbs flat. And now look at the floor ahead of your hands and feel your lower belly lift in engagement. Not rounding the back, in fact, picture a flat back. Try to create that feeling. As you broaden the shoulder blades apart, we're protracting them. Now as you exhale, dip the chest and squeeze the shoulder blades together. We're retracting them. Let's try a few more. Inhale, broaden the shoulder blades apart. Protract. Exhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Retract. So all the while you're looking at the same spot on the ground ahead of your hands in an effort of still feeling a flat back. So this is different from cat-cow pose. We're doing an exercise to promote stability in the shoulder blades using the lats, serratus anterior, different muscles, and in the shoulders. To finish this last round, protracting, spreading the shoulder blades apart, feel the length in the back and front of your neck, and continue to lift the navel towards the spine. Then crawling your left toes behind you, tuck them on the mat and firm the left heel back. Firm your 2 outer hips towards your midline in an effort of keeping the 2 hips balanced in height. Now rebound your way off the floor to your hands so that it doesn't feel congested in the shoulders, but rather spacious. Begin to raise the right arm forward like you're about to shake someone's hand so the palm is facing your left wall. And as you're still looking at the same spot ahead on the ground, your right upper arm is aligned with your right ear. Draw the right shoulder back, so just like the hips, you're trying to balance both shoulders equidistant from your ears. Let's take a few more breaths here, tractioning the spine as you flex the left foot. You might explore raising the leg so that the heel is just about the height of your hip, not higher. Keep lifting the lower belly, hugging your outer hips towards the midline. We've got about 3 more breaths. Flexing the left heel back. 1 more inhale, get long through the spine. And exhale, set hand and knee to the floor. From here, step your left foot out to the left side so that the arch of the foot is in line with your right knee. We're gonna give the inner thigh a stretch as we come into thread the needle a twist. But if you find that it's too cumbersome with your left leg out to the side, you can just return the left knee to the floor while we're in this posture. So from here, raise your left arm to the sky, take a deep breath in, opening the chest. As you exhale, thread your left arm underneath your right bent elbow and rest the left side of your head all the way down. So if it doesn't comfortably meet the ground, put something like that folded blanket underneath your head. Now let's take about 5 more breaths in this twist. If your left foot is still extended out to the left side, firm into the ground with it, and let's rebalance the 2 hips. Remembering that in spinal twist, we want to keep the lower back pretty stable and not twist it, but rather twist at your waistline so you're rotating the rib cage. Then draw the shoulder blades down the back. Flare the right elbow towards the sky. Soften the muscles around the eyes. Take 1 last breath, broadening across your upper back. Then begin to lift up onto all 4s into that modified plank. So knees are right under hips, wrists are right under shoulders. Respread the fingers and gaze on the floor ahead. Ujjayi breath. Lift the sides of the waist and crawl the right toes back, tucking them on the ground. Firm your right heel back and feel even your quadricep engaged. Now hug your hips towards the midline and keep them balanced. And begin to raise the left arm forward, upper arm alongside your ear. Notice if the left shoulder starts to pop out of its socket in your reach, draw the left shoulder blade back so that both sides of your neck are equally long. Breathing in Lift the navel, breathing out. Maybe add lifting the right heel to the height of your right hip, not any higher. Notice if the belly begins to collapse. Lift the navel, broaden the shoulder blades to slightly protract, and lengthen through the sides of your neck. You got about 3 more breaths. Can you feel the weight on your right hand? Rather than collapsing the weight down, root down to lift up. Feel that difference. 1 more breath. Reach long through the right heel, through the left fingertips, the crown, and exhale, set hand and knee to the ground. All right, thread the needle. Set your right foot out to the floor, all the way to the right, so the arch of the foot lines up with your left knee. And remember, if this right leg variation becomes too cumbersome, just bring the right knee back down. You can take the traditional thread the needle. So raise your right arm to the sky, take a deep breath. Exhale, thread your right arm under your left bent elbow and rest the right side of your head all the way down. And again, feel free to use a prop to rest your head on if it doesn't meet the floor. About 5 breaths here. To feel that your 2 hips are again balanced. The rotation is happening mostly at your waistline as the rib cage is turning. And the neck feels spacious. Facial muscles are relaxed. Let's take 1 more deep breath. Pressing into the ground, slowly rise back to hands and knees. Let's make our way into downward facing dog, in which you'll probably want your wrists a couple inches ahead of your shoulders to start. Tucking your toes, lift your hips high, and take about 5 breaths if you want to explore some movement, or right away be still. Feel the breath massaging against the back of your throat, into your lungs, and into the pit of your belly. Now, as you hold still in downward dog, feel your index fingers again parallel each other as they point forward. Arms are wide and flat. Rebounding your weight off the floor, angle your hips further up and back, away from your hands. Recreate that feeling of a flat back. Rotate your outer upper arms or triceps towards the ground and protract the shoulder blades and stabilize them onto the upper back. Lengthen the sides of the neck as you look towards your feet and firm the belly towards the back. Remember, knees can be as bent as needed here to find the full length through the spine. Take another breath in. Exhale, shift forward to plank pose. Firm the heels back or lower the knees again. Lift the sides of the waist. We're here for a few breaths. Look on the floor ahead of your hands. Find protraction of the shoulder blades, that spreading apart. Keep that and the belly engaged. Let's move through Chaturanga Dandasana, which is halfway down. With your next exhale, glide forward first, then bend your elbows back 90 degrees just above your wrist. So you feel the arms hug your side ribs, then slowly lower all the way down. Point your toes firmly on the ground and keep your pubic bone on the floor as you inhale to Cobra. Softening the shoulder heads down as you look on the floor ahead. Tuck the toes again. Engage the belly and exhale like a push-up. Lift into your version of plank, drawing the hips back to downward facing dog. Breathe in. Breathe out. A few more deep breaths. Here in Adho Mukha Asana. So as you bend your knees a lot this time, lift your heels and hips high. Look forward past your hands. Take a deep breath in. At the end of the exhale, try holding the breath. Lift the pelvic floor, engage the belly as you walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat. In a forward fold, have your feet at least hips distance and parallel your second toes. Bend the knees as much as you need here as you shift a little more weight forward towards the balls of your feet, pressing your fingertips either on the ground ahead, maybe on blocks, or your legs, just not your knees. Let's stay in Ardha Uttanasana, half forward fold, about 3 more breaths. Now, can you integrate the muscle engagement you had in plank? Firm the lower belly in, gaze on the floor ahead of the hands, lengthen the neck, and even firm the fronts of your thighs. All of the leg muscles helping to support the back. Elongate the spine. Take another breath. Keep all that length and exhale to fold. Firming down through your feet with still a long spine. Sweep the arms as you inhale, rise into Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, trace your thumbs down your center line. Let's flow 2 more. Sun Salutation A. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, bow forward. Press with your fingertips. Inhale, half forward fold. Plant the hands and step to plank, or lightly float to Chaturanga Dandasana. Exhaling to come down. Breathing into Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. From down through the tops of your feet. Exhale into Downward Facing Dog. Holding there for 3 to 5 deep breaths. Constantly practicing that deep listening as you tune into the qualities of your breath. Letting you know the way in which you're balancing effort and ease in your movements. Now with bent knees, look ahead of your hands. At the end of your exhale, lightly land at the top of your mat. Inhale, press to lengthen halfway up. Exhale, bow forward. Rooting down, inhale, sweep the arms. Keep the shoulders relaxed as you look up. Exhale, hands to prayer at the heart. 1 more, Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, sweep your arms. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Plant the hands, step and lower or float back on your own vinyasa. Inhaling into Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Exhaling back to Downward Facing. Few deep breaths here. Let's go ahead and step the feet together while you're in Downward Dog. Relax the neck. Turn out your right leg at the hip as though you're about to come into tree pose. And pick up the right foot, flex it, cross the right ankle just in front of your left thigh like a figure 4 shape. As you draw your sitting bones up, keep pressing them back and firming the belly towards the back. About 3 more deep breaths. Continue to rotate your triceps towards the earth. Draw the shoulders up away from the neck and feel that your neck is hanging freely. 1 more deep breath. Feel the external rotation of your right thigh bone at the hip. On your next exhale, bend your right knee towards your nose, round the spine in plank pose. Take another inhale and see if you can lift the navel a little bit higher so that the next exhale allows you to lightly land the right foot directly between the hands. Warrior 2. Spin the back heel down, cartwheel the arms, and rise up. So depending on the amount of rigor you're looking for physically, you can have your feet so wide apart that you're able to bend the right knee 90 degrees above the heel. That's rigor. And if you want less rigor, have the feet a little closer together and a less bend in the right knee. So feel that as you're turning in the left leg and the knee and toes are slightly facing the front of the mat, you're firming the outside edge of your left foot into the ground. Stability. As you're turning out the right leg and wrapping the sitting bone downward towards the earth, you're counteracting that by firming the top of the left thigh bone back towards the right wide width of your mat so that the pelvis can remain upright with a slight lift in the navel. Eyes directed forward, just past the right fingertips or inward, closed. Feel the shoulders soften down, the heart space broaden and lift. The extension and reach of your arms and fingertips. Let's take 3 more deep breaths here in Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Now, as you keep the right knee bent, if you need a rest, you can straighten it and rebend it. Wrap the left arm behind your back. Perhaps you're able to reach the top of your right thigh, and if not, that's fine. You're just gonna open up that left side of your chest a little bit more. Flip the right palm to face the sky, and then lift the sides of your waist before leaning laterally towards the rear of your mat. So the right arm sweeps overhead towards your rear wall. opening up the right side of your torso and even the hip flexor. Deep breath in. Seal the bottom of your front ribs towards the back. Got about 3 more breaths here. Continue to relax the shoulders down. Gazes up towards the right wrist or towards the wall on the left side. Steady breathing, 1 more. As you exhale, lower your hands to plank pose and decide if you need a vinyasa or not. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Again, tune into the sound quality of your breathing. Let your feet come together to touch in downward dog. Then turn out your left leg from the hip, flex the foot and cross the left ankle just above your right knee in front of your thigh. Pressing against the thighs, splay open the left thigh and continue to lift both hips, pressing both sitting bones back as you firm the belly towards your back. 3 more breaths. Relax the neck, relax the face. Roll the triceps towards the ground, stabilize your shoulders. On your next exhale, bend the left knee towards your nose, contract the belly to round into plank and pause. With an inhale, see if you can lift the navel a little bit more so that as you exhale, you softly land the foot directly between the hands. Spinning the right heel down, align left heel to arch of right foot, then cartwheel your arms to rise up into Warrior Two. So again, adjust your stance depending on the amount of rigor you want in this practice today. Bend the front knee just over the heel, facing the midline of your mat forward. Wrap the left sitting bones slightly downward. As you firm the top of your right thigh bone back towards the left wide width of your mat, straighten the right leg and press the outer edge of your right foot into the earth. As you broaden across the arms, lift your heart space and relax the shoulders. Steadying your gaze. 3 more breaths. Now keep the bend in your left knee. You could always straighten and rebend if you need a rest. Wrap the right arm behind you. Perhaps you catch hold of the top of the left thigh. If not, it's okay. And put the left palm up. Lift the sides of your torso, then laterally lean towards the rear edge of your mat, sweeping the left arm overhead towards your back wall. A few breaths. Those of you who are very flexible in your back, watch out to see if your front ribs are popping forward. If they are, melt them downward towards your pubic bone. Requires active engagement in the upper belly. Soften the shoulders down. Feel the breath open up the left side of your rib cage and down into your left hip flexor. 1 more inhale. This time, rise up to stand and keep this wide stance and just parallel your feet to face the wide width of your mat. So from here, you might bring them a little closer than they were in Warrior Two. Bring your hands behind you to clasp or grab a strap to hold between the hands. Roll the shoulders back and down as you breathe in and lift your chest and throat. Breathe out, lengthen the spine and hinge from your hips, dropping the skull freely. Feel free to bend the knees if you feel resistance in the back of the body or to step the feet wider apart. Now, as you continue to stretch the arms forward away from your lower back, bend your elbows slightly to help you lift your shoulders up and away from your neck, trying to create as much freedom and space in the neck as possible. You can even test out that freedom with gentle movements of the skull. You've got 3 more breaths here. Allow your weight to shift slightly heavier onto the balls of your feet so that your ankles align with your hips. Feel the broadening of your collarbones, opening the fronts of your shoulders, freeing the neck. Now do lower your fingertips onto the ground ahead, perhaps some blocks, and lift your spine parallel to the floor. Breathe in and press your heart through the gates of your arms. arms. Set one hand down on the floor just under your heart and raise the opposite arm to the sky. Twisting, open that side of your chest, the side of the lifted arm. Draw the crown of the head forward and continue to twist at your waist back to the spinal twist. Open. Switch hands. As you raise the top hand, opening up that collarbone from the sternum. Soften both shoulders away from the neck as you grow the top of your head forward. 2 more deep breaths. Keep stabilizing your hips as though you could balance a book across the lower back while you're twisting and turning the rib cage. Then set both hands down. Bend your knees, bring your hands to your hips. Point the elbows towards the sky from the belly. And with an inhale, lead with your chest and slowly rise. Let's step up to the top of your mat. Bring your feet together to touch for chair so that the big toes touch, the heels might be slightly apart. Bend your knees together to touch and sink your weight back towards your heels. If you're looking for more rigor, try to graze the floor with your fingertips and keep your hips that low. We're here for 4 more breaths. Utkatasana. So as you decide how high to raise your arms, feel out your shoulders. You want to keep them naturally down away from the neck. Now feel out your lower back. If it's hyper curving, hug in the bottom front ribs and tilt the tailbone further downward. Last breath in. As you exhale, shift your weight forward and fold. Press the ground of your legs. Inhale, halfway up. Step or float back. Insert your own vinyasa, which could be cat-cow if you're toning it down. Meeting in downward dog with your feet hips width apart. Inhale, raise the right leg behind you, flexing the foot, turning the hip down. As you exhale, bend the right knee towards your nose. Softly as you can, step the foot just inside of your right hand so your feet are hips width apart, spinning the back heel down. Warrior 1, firming down through both feet. Keep your hips facing forward as you rise up. So let's take a moment to place our hands on our hips. Feel how you're distributing your weight through both feet. Really press down through the outside heel of your left foot to prevent the inner arch from collapsing. But as you straighten the left leg and do that, also spin the inner left thigh towards the rear of your mat so that you feel your left outer hip turning forward. That inner left thigh spinning behind you is going to be important later for our back bends. So continue those actions in the left leg and bend the front knee just over the ankle while plugging the right thigh bone deeper into the hip socket. Lift your frontal hip bones in an effort to contain rather than spill from the belly area and draw the tailbone down. Now as you raise your arms, feel the lift of your arms from your hips. Not just the shoulders, feel the interconnection. Softening the shoulders down as you straighten the arms, steady your gaze. Perhaps it's up and sealing the palms. Last 3 breaths here in Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. Now let's play with a little more balance. Bend your elbows apart like a cactus shape, sliding the shoulder blades down. Then cross the right elbow over the left, hooking your thumbs or wrapping the forearms and palms. Eagle pose. Keep drawing the shoulders down, but lift your elbows to the height of your shoulders and gently press your forearms away from your face. Feel the protraction of the shoulder blades. Now firm the belly. Begin to shift your weight entirely into your right foot. To modify, you could step left foot next to right in chair instead. But for eagle, turn out your left leg and wrap it over the right leg, flexing the left foot as you bend both knees or tucking the left toes behind the right calf, in which you'll probably need to scissor the left hip slightly back. So both hips are facing forward. See if you can sit a little lower as it actually helps to balance. Let's take at least 3 more breaths. Steady your gaze. Eagle pose, Garudasana. Start to unravel the left leg. Step back almost as far as you did in Warrior One, but about 1 foot shorter stance. Feet are hips width apart and the legs are straight. Now, this is where you might want to grab your strap as we do that shoulder stretch. If you have a strap, hold it in your left hand so that you can dangle the tail of it behind your back. If you don't have a strap, you can make do without it as well. Make sure that both of your feet are entirely grounded, your hips are still evenly facing forward, legs are straight. Then bend your left elbow and drop the left palm just between your shoulder blades. If you don't have a strap, you can grab hold of your shirt there. Reach the right hand underneath behind you, grab the other end of the strap or your shirt, and walk your hands as close together as you can. Maybe they clasp and you can let go of the strap. Keep rotating your left tricep forward as you would in downward dog and drawing the left shoulder blade down. Then inhale, broaden your chest and open your throat towards the sky. Exhale, firm through the legs and begin to fold just a little bit of your range. Pause there, scissor the right hip back if it's coming forward, and breathe in to continue lengthening your spine. Firm the belly, exhale, fold another little bit of your range. Keep going just like that, breath by breath. Firming your outer hips towards the midline, like we did in that exercise in the very beginning when we were tractioning the spine, balancing the hips. Feel the weight of both feet, especially the back foot. Last breath here, Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose. Now set your hands to frame your right heel on the floor and set your back knee to the ground. Then slide your right heel forward in this kneeling lunge, just the amount that you can deepen the stretch into your left hip flexor, just at the top of your left thigh. You can untuck the back toes here. Now, as you find that range, root the right heel still into the ground. In fact, without moving it visibly, imagine you're dragging it towards the rear of your mat so that you can start to lift the frontal hip bones as though you're trying to orient your pelvis more upright. It's still going to be tilted forward here, but just try to draw the belly in and create some space away from the right thigh. Still scissoring the hips. We've got about 3 more breaths in Anjaneyasana. If you like, you can reach the arms up, seal the palms, and coil the chest up. Mindful not to compress the lower back. Seal in the bottom front ribs. Take 1 more breath in and lower your hands to plank pose. Choose to flow or take rest. We'll meet in downward facing dog. As you listen to your breathing, does it sound different? If you're feeling a bit much heated up, let's take a lion's breath, Simasana. Deeply inhale into the belly. Open your mouth wide, stick out the tongue, and let it go. 1 more time. Deep breath in. Add opening the eyes wide and perhaps crossing them. That's the traditional style. And let it go. And close the lips. Return to Ujjayi breath. Inhale, raise the left leg. Squaring the hips. Pause here. Firm the outer hips towards the midline. Lengthen evenly through the sides of the neck. Breathe in. Exhale, round the spine. Lightly step left foot inside of left hand for Warrior One. With your feet about hips width apart, spin the back heel down, keeping the hips facing forward. Inhale to rise up. Virabhadrasana. So let's bring the hands to the hips. Feel your weight even on both feet. And firm the outside edge of your right heel into the floor. As you fully straighten your right leg, bring your attention to the inseam of that leg at the thigh. Spiral your inner right thigh towards the rear wall of your room. Notice how that brings the right outer hip more forward. And then bend the left knee right over the heel, plugging the left thigh bone deeper into the hip socket. Lift the frontal hip bone slightly and draw the tailbone towards the ground. Feel that stability. Then from your hips, feel the lift of your arms and fingertips, lengthening the torso as you relax the shoulders down, lengthening the neck. Steady your gaze. Maybe you seal the palms and look up for 3 more breaths. In Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. From here, bend the elbows apart like a cactus shape, sliding the shoulders down. Then cross left elbow over right, either hooking your thumbs or wrapping your forearms and palms. Elbows about the height of the shoulders as you continue to lengthen the neck. Press the forearms gently away from your face. Feel the shoulder blades spread apart. Now engage the belly and begin to shift your weight onto your left foot, turning out your right leg if you're coming into full eagle. Other option is to come into chair. Flex the right foot as you cross it over the left and bend the left knee like you're sitting in a chair. You could also try tucking the right toes behind your left calf, in which you'll probably need to scissor the right hip further back to re-square your hips. Steadying your gaze, listen to your breath. Slowly unwind the right leg, stepping him back to a shorter stance of Warrior 1. So back heel meets the earth, but it's about 1 foot closer to the front of your mat than before. Feet are still hips width apart. Relax the arms and grab your strap if you're going to use it for the right side. Hips facing forward, legs straight, both feet entirely on the ground. Raise the right arm and dangle the strap behind your back if you're using it. Bend the elbow and land the right palm just between the shoulder blades. If you don't have a strap, grab hold of your shirt there. Reach your left arm underneath behind, grabbing your shirt or the strap, and walk your hands as close together as you can. Maybe they clasp. Then as you refirm the legs, inhale, lift your throat and heart. Exhale, lengthen the spine and fold just a little of your range. Breathe in, pause. Square the hips, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold another little bit. And just like that, continue at your pace of breath. Scissoring the left hip back, firming the right heel down, and equally lengthening the left and right sides of your waist. Last 2 breaths in pyramid pose. Now let's lower the hands to frame your left heel, set the right knee on the ground and untuck the toes in a kneeling lunge. Slide your left heel forward, 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 experimenting to where it feels like a good stretch in the top of your right thigh and hip, where you could still square the hips. The left hip is not much forward than the right. Then energetically, not visibly, drag the left heel back and firm the belly towards the back. Try to create space between your belly and your left thigh. You might even add raising the arms and sealing the palms, arching right under your shoulder blades into a back bend for the last 3 breaths. If the arms are up, continue to anchor your tailbone down, hug the bottom of your front ribs in, and relax the shoulders down. As you exhale, lower your hands to plank pose. Whether you choose to flow or not, let's meet in downward facing dog. Few breaths in and out through the nose. Bring your feet to touch and step them forward 5 inches, a foot, maybe 2 feet, that you could eventually hop the feet to the top of the mat and sit down. Or you decide to lift the pelvic floor, try Uddiyana Bandha if you're here for the last couple of classes, and try to slide the legs through the arms. To sit. I always get a little adrenaline rush for that. All right, so as you come to sit down, let's prepare for one round of boat, Navasana. Bend your knees, bring your legs together like chair. Engage the lower abdomen and lift the spine tall, and then tilt back just enough to lift your legs off the floor, whether you hold them or arms free. Might even choose to straighten the legs. Breathe in, open the heart space. Exhale, 5. Inhale from base of the spine to crown, lift. Exhale, 4. Inhale, soften something that doesn't need to tense. Exhale, 3. Inhale, feel the balance of effort and ease. Exhale, 2. One more sweet breath, expand the lungs. And exhale, slowly lower your feet, hips width apart, parallel. Bridge pose. But before we do, core stability. So firm down through the feet, palms up, tall spine. Take several breaths to very slowly and with control lower your back to the floor. When your head meets the earth, arms down by your sides, walk your feet back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not quite. Then ground the shoulders and feet. We're just doing bridge pose one time for your count of 5 to 10 breaths, using the exhale to lower the spine slowly. So when you're ready, lift your pelvis, engage your hamstrings and lightly your glutes by imagining as if you're dragging the heels towards your glutes. Don't actually move them. With that, reach your tailbone forward towards the space between the knees. Walk the upper arms closer underneath your back ribs, closer together, and keep the arms straight. If your hands meet, you might interlace them. Press the ground away with your outer upper arms, shoulders, and soles of your feet. As you parallel your thighs, slightly rotate your inner thighs downward from the hip sockets. Feel your throat open as you tilt your chin slightly away from your chest, honoring the natural curve of your neck. You decide when you feel ready to come down. We'll meet with pelvis on the ground, feet slightly wider apart, knees dropping in together to touch. Just take 3 breaths to rest. Then turning over to one side for one camel pose. Slowly lift your body up to stand on your knees. If you need cushion for your knees, you can fold your mat thicker just under the knees part. Tuck your toes behind you and separate your knees, your hips width apart. Place your hands on your lower back with your fingertips face down, and think of your tailbone like an anchor seeking the ground between the knees. With the help of your hands, gently press the pelvis forward so that it remains directly above your knees when you come into the full expression of your camel pose. Lift the back ribs and firm the belly in to lengthen the lower back. Bend the elbows closer together to broaden your chest. And right under your shoulder blades, begin to contract the back to lift the heart. Imagine you're holding an apple between chin and chest so as not to completely collapse your head. Draw the shoulder blades down your back and give yourself at least 5 more breaths before you rise up slowly with the help of your hands on your lower back. If reachable, you can take hold of one heel behind you, holding it like a baseball, and switch, or both heels, just as long as you can keep your pelvis right above your knees. And you feel no strain in the back, especially the lower back. Now, back bends are wonderful for opening the throat, but also the lungs. So feel your breath expanding throughout your lungs. Also opening the heart center. When you decide, we'll meet sitting down. Any comfortable way for you to sit upright. Let's take one lion's breath together. So again, when you exhale in lion's breath, the mouth is wide like a roaring lion, the tongue is out, eyes are wide, you can even cross them, that's the traditional style. So take a deep breath to prepare and let it go. And then let's prepare for shoulder stand. So if you have a folded blanket or beach towel, make sure that it's smooth, or as smooth as you can. I'm not a great folder. And you'll want to have the folded edge facing your rear wall, just about a foot away from the rear edge of your mat. So take a look if you're new to using this for shoulder stand. It's great because you want to prevent flattening the back of your neck, which can happen over time if you're not aware of keeping that lift of the chin. So you want to have the edges of your shoulders, the tops of your shoulders, about 2 inches away from the folded rear edge of that blanket as you lie on your back. So, and then from here, the head is on the ground. Then you'll want to bend the knees, place the elbows really close to your side ribs, and plug them into the ground. They're going to be your leverage, so you want them really close. Press the backs of the shoulders into the ground, and then start to lift the pelvis like you would for bridge. Now placing your hands underneath your pelvis, you can start to raise one leg, then the other, and then try to bring the hands closer to the ground on your back to help lift vertically. You want to be able to stack your ankles above your hips, above your shoulders. So remember, if you have any shoulder injuries, neck injuries, this is not recommended. And if you do, you could instead lie on your back and have your legs straight up like an L shape. Or you could have a block underneath your sacrum, a little more elevation of the pelvis. So you've got options. If you are in shoulder stand, you could also come into plow, where you bring the legs overhead, being aware of not turning the head side to side once you do lift the pelvis. To come out of it, you go into plow, you slide the hands down the back towards the pelvis to very gently lower your back onto the floor, and then we'll meet there. Taking your shoulder stand, be mindful of maintaining the natural curvature in your neck. And that what's carrying your weight is really your shoulders, your skull, the outsides of your upper arms, not at all your neck. If you are in plow with your legs overhead, what can feel soothing is to bend the knees and try to hug your temples with your inner knees. So whatever cooling inversion you're practicing, give yourself about 5 more deep breaths in. Inversions are great for helping to stimulate circulation, digestion as we turn things upside down in the torso. And these kinds of inversions help to relax the nervous system. They're cooling postures. So when you do lower, you might pass through happy baby, bending the knees apart and catching hold of your outer feet, or simply draw the knees together and onto your chest. Rounding the back, you might rock and roll. We're going to end with one more pose before Shavasana, and that is fish pose. So staying on your back, you can remove the blanket from underneath you. And for fish pose, you'll want to extend the legs forward, relaxed but relatively straight with the feet together. The palms face down underneath your pelvis so that the thumbs come together. You want to bring the elbows as close together under your body as you can. Then from here, you puff up your chest and really open your throat by tilting the chin back. You might be able to do so to the point that the crown of your head is on the floor. That doesn't matter. Just go to the degree that you can and take another 3 to 5 big exhalations through the mouth. Once you feel like you're finished, release the arms from under your body, gently lower your head, your back, and set your body up for a comfortable position to be still in Shavasana. As your eyes remain closed and your body still, allow a deeper breath to fill your lungs and raise gently your heart space. As you exhale through the mouth, start to move your hands, maybe circling them, stretching your wrists, move your feet, maybe pointing or rotating them. Begin to raise the arms and take a longer stretch throughout your body, perhaps turning the head and feeling mobility in your neck. As you feel ready, gather your knees into your chest, a huge embrace of gratitude to yourself. And turn over to your right side, resting your head for a moment. So as the eyes remain closed, direct your attention inward. Pressing the ground, slowly lift your body up. Find a way to sit as we begin 10 minutes of meditation for those of you that are staying. So as you're sitting upright, tall, you might like to rest your hands in your lap, perhaps bringing thumb and first finger to touch, whether you stack the left palm over the right or keep the hands apart. Whatever helps you to feel ready to focus. I'm going to set the timer for 1 minute so that we can continue to use our voices and actually hear our own voice, singing as fervently as you can feel free to in your own space. The chant, again, for Vishuddhu, the throat chakra, is Ham. And you'll just chant at your own pace as you feel ready to start and stop. Setting the timer for 1 minute. Remember to use your diaphragm as though it was Bastrika. Take a deep breath in. Ha. And now, for the remainder of 8 minutes, allow silence, practicing deep listening, which is vital in our ability to effectively communicate. Listening to your breath, if you can hear it naturally, but more importantly, listening to what goes on in the mind. In our last minute meditation, we're going to reflect on what thoughts or what kinds of thoughts were most dominant. So be aware of that as we sit for 8 more minutes here. Feel your breath in. Feel your natural breath out. And for the last minute of our 10 minutes of meditation, I invite you to simply reflect on what kinds of thoughts or what particular thoughts crossed your mind during meditation. And listening to our own thoughts, especially the ones that seem automatic or repetitious, perhaps we gain insights. Let's join the hands to meet at the heart to close the practice together. As we understand our human need to balance our throat energy center, may we continue to practice communicating with truth, love, and clarity, contributing to harmony in this world that we share. Let's close with one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.